Hey, how's
Another
it
live
going?
crowd. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, this is taped in front of a live studio
Yes.
audience or something like
We're
that.
getting good at it.
So, anyways, welcome to Access Harleywood. I'm Harley, and this is Rob E. And we normally do our little openings. And today, I'm excited to talk about your project.
Mine.
So it's coming up. Casting call is coming. So you guys, seriously, you got to come out to this casting call and get it rocking.
Yes, Project Horror. It's,
Cool poster.
Thank you.
Feels good.
Yeah, I had some fun with that.
What are you thinking? What is this going to be?
So
Inspired by what?
this is an original story of mine. It's actually, I've had this big story in my head for years, and somehow a light bulb just went off in my head about a month ago on how to tie a short story to kind of lead into my bigger story that I have in my head. So this to me is more of like a launch or a grab and go, get people excited to see if the theme or the idea behind it will get them excited. So hopefully I keep pushing a theme. It's going to change the way that people will review horror films after you watch it. So,
That's great.
I'm excited for
looking
it.
forward to that for sure.
Yes. I have a good friend in Albert Gerber out in Jersey that helped me with the screenplay. I always tell him he adds my cool factor. He's worked with me before. So I'm really excited. It's been a little while, and this has just really got me fired
more
up.
than a little while.
But all the experience here and everything learning, it's nice to start incorporating it. I have to keep telling myself, slow down, not to rush this. As excited as I am, I got to keep that contained moving forward. And speaking of horror, I want to talk about your Ash and Bone poster you guys released.
Finally have it out. Yeah.
Talk about capturing the classic, like the old school horror feel. Like it turned out amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was really difficult on the art people on this one because I really wanted it to look the way it does. I wanted that retro feel. I think the film itself has a bit of a retro feel to it.
Yeah.
We're talking probably the inspiration between House of Wax and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Love it.
For the film, real villains, not the people in the gray at all, not anti-hero-ish, maybe kind of related. No.
You know who's good and you know who's bad.
Yes, absolutely. We blurred the line with some characters, but the villains are very, very much so villains. No gray at all. Today we got a couple of guests, and it's a mother-daughter combo, the first one we've had, and they're both talented. And I wanted to bring in both. And Melinda is the mother, Bryce, and she is a writer, and I know she's been getting involved behind the camera and behind the scenes as well. And Kayden is a very hot up and coming actress that. I worked with her on Bennett's Song, and she was phenomenal. Very directable, has a great screen presence, which is something that you can't buy. So I'm excited to have them on board. I immediately thought of them when we started doing this for somebody that I think it would be fun to hear their story. So let's bring them in.
I like this. The talented family here. This is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Come on in. Who's taller? Should probably have that seat.
Okay, she's taller.
Okay, because that mic is a little taller.
Yeah, she's taller. I'm the shortest.
Hello and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
I'm excited to have you guys here. I actually was telling him I thought about this as soon as I started doing this show. I think I reached out to you before we even had a show, or maybe we've had one or two. Because it's exciting. First of all, any up and coming talent in Michigan, to get to highlight them is fun. And Kayden is, she's got a bullet on her name, and definitely somebody who's gonna go places. And you kind of already have gone places. But that thing that people talk about when you talk about stars is screen presence, and that's something you can't buy, you can't get. You either have it or you don't. And that's when you're on the screen and people go, and they can't stop looking, and they, you know what I mean? But you have that thing about you. It's just that spark and that thing that makes you want to look.
Yeah, it's the eyebrows.
Is it?
Yeah.
The pressure's off me, by the way. No one even knows I'm sitting here anymore.
Right.
She does have some great eyebrow expressions. So.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's funny you say that because I just watched that short, Trapped.
Oh, yeah.
And
so good.
a lot of facial expression, the eyebrows, and the angst that
Mm-hmm.
it was fantastic. Because there was a lot of emotion played through that, and you did great in that.
Yeah.
It was fun because it was a comedy, sort of.
Yeah.
So she had a lot of fun with that. Grant and Josh were awesome to work with. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
I love them. We just did a commercial with them too
Oh yeah.
last week.
What
and,
was it for?
Z-Bart.
Okay. Very cool.
It was really fun.
That is cool. Yeah, they're great, definitely to work with. But yeah, it's very cool to have you guys here. And you are also involved. Writing has become a bit of a passion.
Yeah, actually, I've been a writer for almost my entire adult life as a profession, but I didn't start writing screenplays until she started acting. And I would be on sets, like working, because you're hours on set. So I'm on my laptop, and people started asking what I do. Oh, I'm a writer. Oh, can you write a screenplay? Yeah, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of really fell in love with it. Angel Matheson was the first person I wrote a screenplay
Angel's
for.
awesome. I got to get her on
love
too.
her.
I
Yeah.
definitely got to get her on.
Yeah, and that is actually in post-production right now, that film. And just kind of launched from there. It's amazing with the Michigan film community, though, where it gets around. And, if you work well with people, people notice, and you start to get, more and more.
Word of mouth travels very quickly.
It does.
Yeah.
And there's a thing, too. Talented people want to work with talented people. That's just the bottom line, because
so true.
you desire that, because you know that it doesn't matter how good you are if the one next to you just doesn't hold up their end of the bargain. And we've all been in those situations where you look around the room and you see, and you're like, ugh. I wish they wouldn't just cast their friends. And it's like, this has so much potential in the writing or whatever. They hire a great DP, and you're like, "Ugh, why? Why do you do that?
Exactly. Casting, so important.
Yes. Yeah, I remember hearing Quentin say, directing, 90% of directing is casting. And I absolutely agree. With the right cast as a director, you don't do that much. You should have a cast that, with just very little maneuvering, should be wanting to tell the story the way that it is in the papers. And some people, they want to tug the story and do this and that, and you have to hold them in. But that's it. If you cast the right people, generally speaking, you're gonna get a good product.
Yeah, I think what's one thing that's kind of interesting about being a writer, especially being a writer that mostly I've been reached out to write other people's projects, is letting go of that afterward and then going, whoa, that casting was not what was in my head. Or something like that, going, wait a minute, and then just kind of backing off and letting it go and seeing what happens. But that's always fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely think casting is one of them things that you just can't get it. You cannot get it wrong.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Do you like creating as far as from like an original story base, or have you been brought in the projects where the story's there and they need you to kind of flesh out the screenplays? Where's your experience been like?
Well, typically, so far I've only written one screenplay that was totally my idea, which is still sitting in a binder at home. But
is it complete, or do you keep going to it?
I keep going to it. And it's not, it's not anywhere close to being actually done. But mostly what people have come to me and said, I have this really awesome story to tell. I hear you're a writer. Can you meet with me and write it? And so, but I love that. I love being given the bones and being able to flesh them out. And it's so much fun. And I've had a great experiences working with Michigan people. Dan Keary, who's a Michigan actor here. I've written 2 screenplays with him, both very different. One was a rom-com. One is a very serious one about someone who's detoxing from being an addict. And both times he was incredible to work with. So, it's fun when you get somebody who's really passionate and, and you just kind of come on the project and you work with them and to see them be excited about their concept kind of coming to life and fleshing out, and it's pretty awesome.
And that's the truth too. It takes a village. People don't understand that. Like you stand there and you're the director or you're the lead actor and you get so much of the accolades, but at the end of the day, you have a whole little town behind you, and it wouldn't have worked without all those little pieces. And some of those pieces are really big and really meaningful, and some of them are small and super important, and it all has to come together. And that's the thing that people don't get. Like, when you look at the credits of a film afterwards, you're like, wow. And in indie film, we usually we're not great at crediting everyone that it did everything, and we end up with this short, 30-second run of credits. But there's a ton of people who make it possible to make even the films that we're doing now.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like before I started acting and everything, I never would have thought that there's so much that goes on behind the scenes of movies.
Yeah.
Like I never realized how important sound was on a movie.
Most
and
important.
now,
That's
now
most
I'm
important.
like, if you don't have sound, you only have half a movie, really.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, most things are forgivable, but not sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, they don't forgive it at all.
If you walk on a set and you're like, where's the boom operator? Oh, there isn't one? Oh.
Yeah.
Like,
right? You know? It's funny. But yeah, when you were saying how it takes a village, I think so. Like I said, most of my career I've been a writer, and I actually fell in love with writing screenplay because, unlike a novel, you don't have to get into the minutia. You just give an idea, and then you let this creative team take hold, and the director does what they do, and the cinematographer does what they do, and I think one of the turning points in my experience writing screenplays is I wrote a short film, about a 30-minute short film, for a producer named Paul Evanson, and Zach Clark was the director, and Andy Oystra was producing, and we had this screenplay, and I met with them, and we sat down, and he was able to give me a look at it from the camera point of view and how to leave space for the visuals, leave space for the director, leave space for all these other artists, and that I think was invaluable to me because coming from a different kind of writing background, you have to fill it all in, right? Yeah.
It's all there. Just read Stephen King. He writes into your head.
Yes, exactly. And so I think that's the biggest thing when I'm working with people and I'm trying to write their story is getting them to understand you don't need all that dialogue. You don't need all that, because leave room for that silent moment for the cinematographer to catch that or the director to give their input. Yeah. So that's been and then the actors, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So is Kayden like a muse for you? Like, is that, you said that you started writing and she started getting into acting. Is that something that like sparked to say, I want to start creating some projects and work together? Or?
No, actually, interestingly enough, the only thing I've ever written, there's two things I've written. Everything, Angel Mathison's film, was written specifically for her daughter Sullivan and Kayden to play sisters in. But since then, a #Hope was one that I wrote, and I'm not sure, it's being switched now from a film to a series. So we're kind of in development with that. So she's in that one. But other than that, like, we don't come as a team.
Yeah.
I have my career, and I don't typically work unless I have a contract and I'm being paid because it's my career. Yeah. So we don't come as a team. If they want her to audition, she will. But I think more so it was that was the world I was suddenly in.
Right.
Was the film world, because as a film mom, you're spending long hours, so that's what you're connecting with. So it was more like that. Yeah. And then just getting kind of the inside look at the film industry and kind of like understanding it more. Yeah. So I always
there's
told her,
a lot to understand.
Yeah.
You every time you think that you've learned enough, there's something new that you go, I have no idea.
Yeah. When did that start?
Yeah.
I think for Kayden, you learned a lot on the 3 weeks on set of Ring of Silence. I think that was where you really got
3-week shoot
a backstage.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, because you did wardrobe for that. She was head of wardrobe for Ring of Silence. And so I was just going to set with her.
Well, you had a small role.
Yeah, but that was little. But I was like running around behind the scenes, like bringing food to the actors, all of that stuff. And it was really fun because I actually got to dress some of the sets and like help set dress a little bit and just do a little bit of everything.
It's got to give a greater appreciation.
Yeah, I think for an actor, there's a couple things that I think they should all have to do. First things first is you should be involved in casting something, because it will change your whole experience when it comes to auditioning. You will learn to go in and lay it down and walk out and forget about it, because there's so much that's completely out of your control that you have nothing to do with. that determines the casting. We have had, and I've said this before, we have had the best audition not make the film. The best audition, not for a character, the best audition out of all the auditions did not make the film because of fit and combos. And if we move that there, what happens to this there? It's so much stuff that it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Being involved in casting is something that I think every actor should, because I think it's a revelation. You go, oh. Wow.
It's putting a puzzle together.
Yeah,
so
it
you
is.
might be
Yeah.
a great audition by yourself, but then
Yep.
the chemistry or the two together on scene, you have to put that together perfectly. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's really important for actors to learn
Yeah.
is that they cannot take it personally. And I've learned that I can't, because I could be, 2 inches too short to, like, for just another dream. When they were casting Josh, his name's Josh, my best friend in the film, they were literally looking at people's height.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, this guy had a really, really amazing audition. We really like him. But he was like 6 foot or something. And it was just, it wouldn't work because it was too tall.
That'd be a tricky
Weird-
frame.
weird on screen.
I was like,
Yep.
they would have to.
We've done that too.
Yep.
That's something that has
Yep.
happened. Same thing has happened to us, or age. You
Yeah.
just talked about
Yeah.
your callback, and you said several of the people auditioning were in their 20s.
Yeah. And
Same thing there. So who is going to be standing next to the role that
Exactly.
you will determine
Yeah.
who gets the role
Yeah.
sometimes?
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of parents will ask me, "Well, what do my kid have to do? What do they have to do to get into film?" Because they know that she's had some success. And so recently, I helped a parent, and they're like, "Oh, my kid went to these auditions and he's really upset he hasn't heard back." And I go,
Oh, God.
first of all, submit and forget. That's our motto:
Yep.
submit
Yeah.
and forget.
I like it.
Second of all, it could be a month or 2 months or 3 months later that you hear something. Kayden's first ever, I got to bring this up. Kayden's first ever audition was for Bennett's Song, her first ever film audition.
That was really good.
But she auditioned, and then I don't think we heard back for 2 months or something. I think it was a couple months. And we were on set of another film, and
I was
Nancy
shocked.
Oswine called,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What?"
I was like, oh, I forgot about that movie.
Yeah.
It's just a nice surprise.
Yeah.
You just have
Yeah.
to think of it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You can't rely on-
I've had people say, I don't know, do you like, I've auditioned for you now for like 3 or 4 films. Do you not like me? I haven't been cast. And I'm like, we have 750 people auditioning for the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I not like the 720 that didn't get, like, what are you thinking? Like, do you just think I'm sitting there with 10 people? Like, it's not like that. It's a very difficult process, the whole casting process.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you did it when you cast your short film for your student short film.
Yeah, even that was hard. And I literally only had like 20 people to
Yeah.
choose from. And
Oh,
even
yeah.
that, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
So
crazy.
let's talk about some of the stuff that because we were both in Just Another Dream, and Jennifer's, I kind of pulled together something really cool. So talk about your experience on it, because I can't complain. We had a lot of fun, and a really good set, good mood, good feel.
Yeah, no,
how,
I
how
feel
did everything go for you?
the exact same way. It was it wasn't hard because it was like, it was fun every single day that I was there. But it was long, and there were long nights, but the whole crew and cast were so amazing. And everyone you could tell they wanted to be there and they wanted to make movies.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really important
It
to
is.
have on a set, because if you are there for 12, 14 hours a day and then you're tired and you're putting your everything into it, and someone's like, "Oh man, this sucks.
Wanna go
I don't
home."
want to be here.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't want to hold this boom mic." Even that.
Yeah.
Little things,
Yep.
everyone's energy will affect it.
Yep.
So everyone's energy was really good.
Yeah.
And I was very, very sad when I had to leave that set.
Yeah.
So it was amazing.
It's
though.
weird. It's weird to have that separation on features. We are getting started on shooting 8 episodes for a TV series, and it's really, really exciting. But I remember really not liking breaking up the band on all the features. So this is going to be really tricky, because you become that
Family.
film is it's its own real world. It becomes real. And you're living in that bubble, and suddenly that bubble is gone, and you're like, what do I do now?
Where are my buddies?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I feel like what's his name? What am I supposed to do with my hands? You know? I don't know. I don't know what to do in between films. It's so weird. Somebody said about actors that we hate being ourselves, and we so desperately want to be somebody else. And I don't think that's at all the case. But not working is weird. Not acting is weird. I mean, I'm the guy who will do accents in drive-thrus and stuff just because I'm so like I have to do something for that outlet all the time. I can't help it. Do you do that?
You get that way.
And I don't know. I think people like being on sets for as long as they can be with the same people too, because it's like it's your comfort zone. You get comfortable with those new people or the same people. Yeah. And people don't like stepping out of their comfort zone. And it's scary. Yeah. Like you're alone. Like you're like the new kid in this school. You're like, I don't know who to talk to.
First day on set's always like, so.
It's so awkward too.
Especially having such a good experience to hope to get that back again on another set. Like when you have that type of experience, you just.
And it's definitely not always like that,
right?
Unfortunately.
No. Yeah. And it really sucks when you go from a really, really awesome set to a not so really awesome set. You're like,
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I have to say. We're starting to get much more selective about what she's going to do because her time is more valuable, but also like she said, having those really good experiences, you don't want to go backwards,
right?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, she's had some amazing film experiences in Michigan and Florida. She did a film in Florida over the course of a year, Ohio, and great people, and when you slide backwards, now we just know all the tricks. Okay, we're gonna look up their IMDb, and we're gonna look up what they've done, and we're gonna look up, because otherwise, you just end up sitting there for 12 hours on a miserable
I feel
set.
so bad when I audition because I don't do anything until they offer me the role. Yeah. When they offer me the role, then I ask all the questions that I have to ask for me to do it. And in all honesty, even though we all need to pay our bills, it's hardly ever about the money. Right. It's almost always about, how serious is everybody going to take this? Where are they taking this? And what have they done before? So that I know that it's not just because Michigan is also the place where they go, we're pitching to Netflix. And I'm like,
Well,
you just have to send an email, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Email. Yeah, they're accepting pitches all the
Right.
time from Michigan independent filmmaker who's never done anything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it's awesome. It's an awesome story.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think it's funny. I think that's one of the things. Just Another Dream was such a long process, and when it's a long process, we kind of know it's going to be for real. You know what I mean? And in a way, because the way it took. It was a year. You did the trailer a year before the film shot. So
because this is the one that we covered before, but for people watching today, that they did the trailer first to promote and then go back
like a
and
Kickstarter.
It was a great trailer.
Yeah.
When we filmed the full thing, they couldn't use any of the trailer clips because I looked completely different. Like my hair was kind of a different color. I was taller.
They had to do some recasting and stuff. But and so I think that's one thing that's interesting about. I think one of the things that happens with me as a writer with some of the local projects that I work on is that even if they're actors, they might not know the business of film. And that's one thing where, I got some advice a long time ago for her was learn every part of the industry because the more you know how that machine works, the better you'll be able to fit into it. Yeah. And I took that same advice. So we went to the business of film workshops. We research, and I do have a background in business, but for me, I ended up being also kind of a counselor to people who I was writing scripts. Okay, this is what you have to do next, and this is how you do this, and then this is the process. Yeah. So it kind of doing that too, which I don't mind because I want to see these people make these films.
I see that with a lot of artists is that they don't have the structure side of things, and things fall apart. I couldn't tell you how many projects I used to be a part of that never even finished. And some that you spent months on, and they're just nowhere. Apart. Yeah, just fell apart, or the director likes the new car smell, and they just move on to something else, and you just we were in the middle of filming something, and now they're filming something else. Okay.
Right.
Or okay, then.
Yeah. They lost their editor. They didn't have an editor or something, and then you're like,
they
what?
ran out of their budget.
Yeah, that's the common thing.
Yeah.
That's just sloppy, because that's some stuff that could be very, very easily fixed. Like, we've never gone over budget on 10 feature films. Never gone over budget.
That's amazing. Bravo.
Yeah, no, but it's if you have systems in place and you stick to your systems, this is not complicated.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
The preparation, and that's key. Like you say, when you're going in to work with these people to verify the legitimacy of how is their preparation. Are they really going to follow through on this? That's key. And I think a lot of people don't understand that side of the process, as you were saying earlier, that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes before you even get to that point of film. Like I said, I have to calm myself down. Like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I want to film tomorrow. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're the other way around. You're like, oh my God, it's 1 month away till we're filming. We don't have our locations. We don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's another place to be. That's not great either.
Yeah. That's true. Locations are a big one.
Locations are huge, yeah.
I just got a chance to talk to a Girl Scout troop this week about screenwriting for their badge or something, which was really fun.
That's a badge now, huh? That's fantastic.
Right. So it was really fun. But one of the things I told them, they have to write a script. That this troop is going to write a script together. And I was like, think about locations. Where do you already have? You have a house, maybe a school, classroom. Don't write a story about a girl that goes to a magical wonderland with unicorns. Because how are you going to build that?
Or spaceships and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
But,
it's tricky.
Yeah. But I said they wrote a really awesome 10-minute short about a guy on a porch and a dog, and it was awesome.
No, it's fabulous. And I think a lot of people don't understand that aspect going into writing is write something that you can film, especially starting out. Trapped, I'll go back to that. That's fantastic. It's a simple location shoot. You find a wooded area and a picnic table. I mean, it was, but it's well done, because if you can draw the characters out, you can write it.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was like a Pixar short, the way the music lined up and everything. Like,
I
it
loved
just,
the music
yes,
in
it was fantastic. But I think people need to understand that going into these scripts is, like you say, don't write it as if you're living in Cloud City and got to blow up the Death Star. As your first script.
Good luck with that.
The first thing I ask new clients that approach me about writing a screenplay is, what is your budget? What do you anticipate your budget is? Because I'm going to base locations on it. Yep, I'm going to base a lot of stuff on it. So, but if they come to me and they're like, budget's $3 million, I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to sign my contract first.
Yeah, exactly. But I won't say I have. I mean, I'm working on some right now that have pretty good budgets. I'm really excited about, kind of on the down low. But most of them, I try to talk them down. Like, okay, this is this is think about your resources.
Well, I mean, and you should. I mean, I think you should be a penny pincher no matter what your budget is, and not that you're always gonna pay the people that you have to pay. That's absolutely how it should be. But beyond that, like when you go beyond that, like, can you save money by doing it this way? Because if you can just fill out something else and make that make production value, it's almost always worth it. So really think about, is it worth spending the money there or whatever? Right. And maybe maybe ask some people too who has got experience of what they think where the money would be best spent. You look at when we were talking about Aladdin 3477. Like those sets and everything like that, that's worth a lot. The production value of that is just insane. Yeah. So I can't wait to see that.
It looks cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. I can't wait to see it.
I actually I will be going to talk to him in a couple weeks. So excited for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Matt's got a cool house apparently. So
Star
Wars collector. So I'm doing a road show to go check it out.
Yeah.
That's
for
really
sure.
cool.
Yeah, I would love to be a fly on the wall when he's sitting there editing.
Yes,
just to see that, because I've heard so many things, and the little things he's leaked all looks so amazing.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be fun.
An upcoming project for you that I had seen. I think we're safe to talk about.
Yeah,
sure.
The Crow fan film.
Yeah. So I was actually just talking to Justin Main right before here. Just making some final tweaks on the script. And it that was one where I had to dig in and do some research, and I literally binge watched all the Crow films. And
Just watch the first one 100
Yeah,
times.
I mean,
the only
that's what I discovered.
Don't watch the others.
I did. I watched the first one.
That's like watched Sin
multiple
City
times.
1 and 2.
Yeah. I figured that out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, and that was really divergent from what I've typically written, mostly dramas. And that one is pretty cool. And Justin is very passionate, and he's doing it right. And so
I had him on Attack on Show, and I had to.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, we talked about
that.
The Crow, and I had to edit 2 episodes. I had one of the interview, and then we talked so much about The Crow. I made another half-hour episode of just us talking about The Crow.
That's
but
funny.
that's my all-time favorite movie.
I watched
so
it as part of the research.
Yeah, that's great.
You were my research. Yeah.
I am super excited for that project.
Yeah.
to
I'm
roll
really
out.
excited for him. And
Very
that's
cool.
really cool. And he's kind of looping me in. It's kind of fun when I can stay looped in.
Yeah.
I don't typically like to be involved so much with production because that's not my thing, but it's kind of fun when they keep me looped in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin is a guy too. I remember seeing him when he first emerged, and to see him grow. Like, he's becoming a really good actor.
Yeah.
I really dig seeing him, and he's been in some tricky situations where I wouldn't say it's easy to be good, and he was still good. So to me, that's the hardest part, is when because acting is a little bit like tennis. And if the other person don't hit the ball back, it's really hard to play tennis.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
so I've seen him, and he definitely becoming a really good actor. So this is it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I wrote I wrote some scenes for real. I've been writing some real scenes for actors. They asked.
Yeah.
And I wrote one that filmed, and it was Justin and Dan Keary, and it was a comedy. And they sent me what they had, and it was awesome. Those 2 guys together in a comedy situation, which is, I think, not
That's
the
funny.
norm for them, was fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
Like
Yeah.
it was really funny. Yeah. So
cool.
it was pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah. So
Very cool. You went down to Florida and you did a film called Triggered.
Yes.
How was that?
Scary because I usually stick to my Michigan group. It was scary being the new person at the school, with everyone, but everyone was really nice. Mace Walker.
What was it about, the premise of this?
It touched topics on, it was teenagers. All about, depression and figuring identity, struggling with that. My character, Christy, was a darker character for me. So it was harder because we filmed that for a while. I think we
a year.
We flew back and forth from Florida like 3 or 4 times or something.
I remember it was long, but I didn't remember it was that long. Wow.
It was long, and my character was definitely darker, a little bit disturbed. She had mental things going on, so getting into that headspace was kind of scary. Like, there were some nights that I was there that I was crying myself to sleep just because as an actor, I mean, you'll know, like you get into that headspace, but it was really amazing, meeting all those people, and I'm still connected with them. And it's awesome because now, we have a place to stay and everything.
That's good.
Like, we'll have, like,
Gets too
people
cold here.
with the welcoming arms.
Yeah.
When we go back. So it was really cool. And I'm really excited to see it because I usually don't play characters like that.
That's good, though, to get the range.
Do you find that you learn stuff about yourself when you play other characters?
Yeah, a little bit, I think. I don't know, actually. I think I act a little bit different. Like, it's not that I'm figuring out pieces of myself, but it's like I kind of become a little bit of a different person. And it kind of sticks with me after that. If I, like, think about it.
I think she'd had to go into places of herself that she normally wouldn't go. Just the way that, but essentially her character in that was, she was disturbed, but she had a really good heart. And so everything bothered her. You know what I mean? And so it was, it's going to be, it was a very,
sounds intense.
It's an intense film.
And I really had to push myself out of my comfort zone for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what shook me up the most about it. And just thinking, like, I know it's not real, but it
feels
talked
so
about
real.
it was like subjects of like gun violence and stuff like that, and I was scared for me to put myself in that situation.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is awful. I just had to keep reminding myself it's not real after every take. You know, take a breath. Remember.
Pretty gratifying after, though, I imagine, going through a different experience like that. What inspired you? I mean, at your age, like, what inspired you to get into acting? When did you know, or what age? Like, when did this all start for you?
Well, I've done theater acting. Well, I used to do theater. I kind of stopped now that I'm getting into film. But I did that when I was little, and I don't know. When I was little, I always thought it would be, like, really cool to be on TV. But I was like, I'm not doing that, man. No way. But a few years ago, Tessa Hawks reached out to me because I was friends with her daughter, Yazzie. And I think Yazzie was doing a short film or something. And Tessa was like, we were doing a play together. And Tessa was like, Kayden, who's your mom? Like, I'm going to go talk to her. Do you want to do this short film? And I was like, what's a short film? Like, I have no idea what's going on. But I agreed to it because I was friends with her. And then we went to a film mixer in Cleveland, right? Yeah. Or Cincinnati or something.
In Cleveland.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try it out. I'll see if I like it. You know, I don't know if I will because I've always done theater, which is completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. And I like the idea of not pretending that you're someone else, but stepping in, trying to challenge yourself to step into other headspaces and becoming a different person for a while.
Yeah. The whole saying of walking a mile in someone's shoes, that's beautiful about acting. I always find myself, I look at the decision making and stuff of a character of mine afterwards, and I find myself agreeing or disagreeing because I'd never do that before because I don't want to judge and I don't want to have any conflicts in me, so I just absorb them, and then afterwards, it's nice. You look back and you're like, I would have never done that.
Yeah, it's like it's really cool. It's cool seeing yourself too, as someone that you're not.
So you do like watching yourself when you're done?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like when I watch Triggered, I'm gonna get a little triggered from it. You know, not to sound cheesy, but. I feel like that one's going to be more challenging to watch. But, like, with Just Another Dream, that was really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to enjoy watching that. And I like watching and remembering that set, thinking, oh, that was the day that happened. And when I did Bennett's song, you know, that was my 13th birthday. The day that we were filming. So it's fun to remember that day. And everyone was singing to me, and it was really fun.
Quite the birthday.
There was one film that she did called Nightmare, which she played a heroin addict in. And it's the only thing she's ever done that my husband refuses to watch. He won't watch it because she is in a really dark place in that film. And it was filmed for Grace Centers of Hope. And it was pretty incredible. But yeah, my husband is clean and sober for 28 years. So he's like, no way.
Thanks.
Not going to watch it. Nope.
No thanks.
So but mostly we all gather around and watch what she does. So yeah. But I think it's interesting when you said, how did you get in? She said, oh, I decided to do it and then I did it, but a lot happened in between.
Oh, it wasn't that day?
In between that, right? It was like get your headshots, website, resume, business cards, and then go to this mixer. Okay, okay. So literally within the course of about 2 weeks, we built a website, did our headshots, made a resume, got business cards, and went to that Cleveland film mixer.
Yeah.
And she was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, what I was just gonna say, when I started, I had like no film on my resume. Like I did like a commercial when I was
Detroit 187 when you were 8. I think.
Okay, I was an extra in that.
Yeah.
So we just joined a bunch of groups and everything, and I literally just auditioned for everything that I could.
Right.
That's the smart way to do it.
And now we're.
I always tell people that are new, go to MPI, audition for
That's
everything
what I
you
did.
find.
That's what I
It's
did.
the best place just to get going.
Yep.
I mean, I know they do at Wayne State and everything too, but MPI for some reason, all of those projects kind of running at the same time, and it's a great place to start out.
Yeah.
So that's a definitely recommend it.
Yep. I
Oh,
tell
yeah.
that all the parents that ask me to. I'm like, go find out when the MPI auditions are, or
Yep.
the.
I think they just had them too. Right?
Yeah, they
Around-
did.
Yeah.
They just had. In fact, we
My
just.
friend just went to one.
Yep, just went to
Today.
a callback today.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, so
But-
fingers crossed for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think people ask too, like, okay, so they think she's just working here and there, and people, her friends especially, will say, "Want to act? That seems like an easy job."
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, get me onto one of your film sets. I want to be in your
Right.
movie.
But I mean, she
I'm like-
works at it.
And they would never say that about, like, get me on your basketball team. They would never say that. I don't understand why they think that's so okay.
Right. The guy can just.
Like,
love
yeah,
I love
get me
that.
on your basketball team.
Yeah.
so funny.
But she works at it every day, and now her thing, is working on her social media, and she
Yeah.
works on it every single day, and it's just all part of the same game,
Yeah, it is.
and it's not easy, and I think
No.
I think from a mom's perspective, I can see that it gets stressful when you're doing lots of auditioning and you're doing having to drive to Kentucky and back in one day, and you're having to do all those,
Yeah.
and it's harder than it looks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about this. Anybody who, if you're trying to do this to get famous, just stop,
not gonna
stop. Because you're not going to get famous because you're starting in the wrong end. First, you want to dig into the craft because that's where the reward is in the craft. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in digging into the character and living it and being as true to it as you possibly can, and then sharing that with your set mates, and then sharing it with an audience. Like that, if you do that, then you may get fame at some point, if that's even what you want. I know enough famous people now that I'm like, I don't, I'm starting to get people recognizing me and stuff now, and I'm like, I don't know if I want that.
Yeah.
Because that's very intrusive. We're sitting down for dinner, and I think I saw you in a movie, and take a picture. And I'm not against it, but like I'm having dinner with my wife and
Yeah.
kids.
That's how we
kind
met.
of like,
no,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Kayden had once we were driving in a car somewhere.
That I still don't know what happened. That was weird.
These people were like waving in the car window at her.
They
and
took
it was-
a video
They
of
were
us.
taking a video.
And I was like,
of
I don't
her.
know if you think that I'm someone else because this is really weird.
Yeah.
And
It
they
was
were
really
like,
weird.
you're like,
Yeah.
and I was like,
No, it was really
I had
funny.
3 in one day when I was in LA
Wow.
come up and as pictures and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
that was the weirdest thing ever.
But it's awesome.
That's
too.
In one
I
day.
mean,
In
it's-
one
it's
day.
kind of- it's
Yeah,
kinda
yeah,
awesome,
like,
though.
that's a cool problem. That's a cool
Right.
problem.
I can tell
It
you,
is-
a writer will never hit that problem.
No.
Ever.
unless
No, that's the writers,
That's your Stephen
producers,
King.
I was just,
just under the radar.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny. But yeah. And I think too, like when you talk about the fame, like you can kind of tell who's doing it for what reasons just by kind of how they act and how they present themselves sometimes. And some of the stuff that I'm working on now, nobody even knows that is being worked on because the people that are involved are under the radar,
Yeah.
doing the work that you have to do the work. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I
Well,
have
there's a
to-
time and place to talk about things,
Yeah.
and there's a time and place to celebrate things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think some people, they're always doing this.
Yeah.
And it's okay to do this, but while you're doing this, your
Yeah.
competition is working.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Right.
less time celebrating, more time grinding is kind of a cool concept.
Yeah.
And there's a balance because
Yeah.
I know like with actors and their social media and
Yeah.
stuff, that's kind of important too.
Especially
That's
at,
a market.
at a
Yeah,
younger
marketing.
age.
Marketing.
Yes.
yeah.
And
You're
for
building a
show.
brand. I
Yeah.
mean, yourself
Yeah.
as an actor is a brand, and you
Yeah.
got to build that. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what you want your brand to be too.
Yeah, it's
On
very
social
important.
media.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
because they will eat it up.
Yeah.
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 Or they won't.
Or they won't. Yeah,
Exactly.
that could also happen.
Right. And it's funny because people ask her a lot how she grew her social media.
Yeah.
And she's
Like a
like,
lot.
"Are you ready to work at it? Because that's what it is. You
Yeah.
know, it's making connections and it's constantly having a conversation. You know, with people and that's
And letting people in
exactly
too,
it.
which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. You got to kind of trust.
Especially in today's world, it's
Yeah.
not the safest place necessarily
Yeah.
always to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, she's had like 12 marriage proposals from men overseas.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I
Crazy.
talked to Callie and Angelina on them, and
Yeah.
and it's scary.
Yeah.
I want to meet the guy that worked for.
Right. Exactly.
It's the same thing as the construction website.
Yeah.
right.
Like, has that ever worked? Like,
Right.
why is that what happens?
Yeah, I don't get it.
How'd you guys meet? I proposed first time on
Right.
social media.
Yeah.
I saw her
slid in my
picture on
DMs.
Instagram.
Yeah, she has one. She showed me, Mom, look at this, and she's very transparent
Yeah.
with me with all of her
Yeah.
social media, and I was actually all of her stuff pinged to my phone for a very long time until I was really comfortable, like years, like 2 years, until I was really comfortable that she was going to be transparent. And she showed me there. She goes, Mom, I don't know. Maybe I should talk to this guy. Obviously joking. He had like 12 messages. Says, you be my girlfriend now.
Not even.
Yeah. Rose emoji, rose emoji,
Yeah,
rose emoji.
that's funny.
It was
If there was one more rose emoji,
Right.
though, that
I
might
know. It
have.
was
I don't
11. It wasn't 12.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was
She
Mo-
likes
mo-
red.
most of them are probably not dangerous,
Right. Yeah.
but you just got
You
to
never
always
know,
be
though.
careful.
We've
Yeah.
had to report a couple.
Yeah.
And she just got a weird thing. Somebody.
Yeah, this happened to me yesterday.
Probably the people in the car.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No, this has never happened to me before, so I still don't know how to react to it. But one of my friends messaged me. I have one private account on my Instagram, and it's not even a photo of me or my name in the username because it's private. It's like just like my very, very close friends. And they messaged me and they said, "Hi, is this your account?" Because they requested to follow me, and I don't think it's you. And their name was Kayden Bryce, SAG actress. And they made it was a fake account.
Wow.
And it was private, and they're posting all of my photos, and they have my name in
Wow.
Yeah.
their bio,
Yeah.
but they're saying that I'm 18 and I'm from the Golden Coast or whatever.
Yeah. So,
But they blocked me on my main account,
so what's
so
the
I
intention?
can't report
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
We all report.
So that
Everybody
Yeah.
that's
started
kind of
reporting.
scary
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
about that.
Well, they're definitely out there misrepping and trying to, we had a investor from Nigeria. Same thing. He's like, I'll transfer you $300 and then you transfer. No.
Send 10 grand first, and then they'll send. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No. Wait,
But
there's a guy that's around that offers to finance films, and he has millions and millions of dollars. If you look him up on IMDb, he probably has 40 projects in development and pre-production. And I don't want to go into names and
Yeah.
everything, but first of all, if anybody offers you something and it seems too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
They're a real good, like Quentin Tarantino had to go get Brad Pitt to get his closing money. You know what I mean? This happens all the time for people that are super legit. So if somebody's offering you a bunch of money and you have never really done anything, or they're offering you a role in something big, and you've never really been in anything, just stop and go, does this make sense?
Is this adding up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can just protect yourself from so much, and not only that, but the heartbreak from realizing that you've been fooled.
Yeah.
Pranked.
Instead of hanging on and getting pulled behind this truck.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy said pretty much that his money was tied up in Dubai and this and that. But I can get you this A-lister, but to get the LOI, I need 25 grand.
Right.
And people get fooled like this
Yeah,
all
it's
the
sad.
time.
Just wait for the check to show up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I have to say, the Michigan film community has been amazing all along. I've never had a problem with if I had any kind of question or I questioned somebody's authenticity or anything. I just ask somebody
Yeah.
in the film. I've reached out
Yeah.
to Nancy. I think I've reached out to you,
Yeah.
Angel. Like
Yeah.
lots of people where I'm like, these people have been around. I'm gonna ask.
Yep.
Right.
And
Yep.
and you'll get answers.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you'll get help. And people are so willing to help.
Yep.
And I think that's where you have to be humble enough to say, "Hey, I need help. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
everything."
And people
Doesn't hurt to
and
ask.
people won't badmouth people publicly, but if you call
Yeah.
privately and say, "Hey, I just want to make sure this
Yeah.
is safe, this is good," you're going to get honest answers from people. So don't shortcut that. That's
Yeah.
definitely
Yep.
something you should do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Absolutely.
It's a big circle, but it's also a
Yeah.
not so big circle where everybody's kind of
Yeah.
intertwined at some
Yeah.
point over here.
Yeah.
You start to see that
Yeah,
and get multiple opinions because there's so many people that know each other that
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
take one opinion, take
Yeah.
a few.
Yeah.
Especially if I hear something bad, I always ask somebody again, somebody else, because if you get 2 and 3 and 4,
Yeah.
then you're like, okay.
Well, and there's a lot of politics too, which drives me
Yeah.
nuts, drives me up a wall, because it's like we're on the same team. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
A bunch of people that are in your film are in your film. They're in my film. They're in that film. they're all the same people. If one film hits, it brings them all up. If
Right.
one, you know what I mean? That's
And in the end, we're just
pretty
trying to all entertain other people. So
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah,
all
exactly.
entertain.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think you can tell, like, when people are really in it for the craft and for the art and for the passion and for the long haul, the business, not for the fame stuff.
Yeah.
They're willing to bring everyone up with them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, Kayden used to share audition notices with girls that were her
Yeah.
exact same
Yeah.
demographic.
Yeah.
Because like if I get it, great. If you get it, great.
yeah, but that's a
Right.
good
Yeah, yeah.
mentality to have. Absolutely.
I did catch she said used to.
Yeah.
No, I just kidding.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Well, no, the girls that she'd share with aren't really doing it anymore. That's I didn't mean that.
No, that was a joke.
We're not coming
We
back.
used to have a little group. And we kind of all shared.
Oh,
That's
fair
like that.
enough.
We just don't have the group anymore. Everyone's kind of off in their own direction now. But,
Yeah.
but we always tag people
Yeah.
and click share,
Well,
and you know,
It's the idea of what we were saying earlier.
It's
It's
just
not a
open-handed.
competition
Yeah.
because even though you audition and somebody that you shared that with auditions, it's not necessarily better than. It's just
Yeah.
Right.
they fit
Different.
that. It was a different
Yeah.
role or character that
Yeah.
they're looking for, and they fit that. It's not a competition.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all
It
trying to be
isn't.
in the best place,
Yeah.
the best person for the right job.
Yeah, we always cheer for the other girls and the other people, and
Yeah.
sometimes they show up on the same set, and you're like,
Well,
yeah,
and not
it's
only that,
fun.
but you can see stuff too when people complete and share other people's trailer. Like I share it all the time, and people are always so surprised. They're like, "You shared their trailer?" I'm like, yeah.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
sharing their
right.
trailers.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. Well, then that speaks to your confidence too, because I think it's the people who aren't confident in their
Yeah.
own capabilities that are not wanting to
Yeah.
help other people.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's how I got involved in all of this. It's just the idea of to create something and then to help people promote. It feels good to be kind of
Yeah.
a part to help
Yeah.
people get their word, their voice out, their picture, whatever it is that
Exactly.
they're expressing. It's good to be a part of that because if they're creating something good, like I want to
Yeah.
help, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that. It's-
Yeah.
No, it's very
Absolutely.
cool.
And I will say, like, just even walking through some of those doors that you're not really sure, but you get a good feeling about
Yeah.
people, walk through those. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff she's done that's not been paid, or maybe it's kind of new people, but you just get a feeling about
Yeah.
somebody and about
Trust your
the
gut
set,
on that.
And you trust your gut. And yeah, I mean, like, just for now, like, when I walked onto Ring of Silence and I was doing wardrobe, that was something new for me.
Yeah.
I had done some wardrobe for some plays, but it was something new for me. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I like this cause. I like, I like some of the people that are involved, and I'm going to do it. And then from there, I ended up working as a writer with NBW, and I'm still working on some pretty big projects with them. So you just never know
What
is
it'll
what I'm
lead
saying.
to.
Yeah.
And, like for her, there was a film, Reveries, with Sam Keeble. That was interesting.
Mhm. Yeah.
She auditioned,
Mm-hmm.
awesome role. They ended up casting someone much older, very different look and
Yeah.
everything. But he said,
Really?
yeah, but he said, do you want to work on this film? Because she said to him, I love this script.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. If there's anything that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So he taught her how to do sound. And she did sound on that film for 6 days.
Yeah.
As a
Over my
15-year-old.
spring break.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And
That's where she
so-
learned sound was so important. Now,
Right,
now it makes
Oh,
sense.
it
And
is.
it's hard. I was
Exactly.
stressed
Yes.
out. I was like, I gotta adjust these
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But in the end, he gave her a little cameo appearance at the end
Yeah.
that she was surprised with. But
Yeah.
just working with those people, you just never know. And so I guess, like, when people ask me, they do a lot just because of knowing her, what to do.
Yeah.
Don't be the actor that won't try
Entertain.
another
Right.
role on the
Yeah.
set. Unless you're already so far that your time is not, is better.
Yeah, but
more
even at that
spent
point, I
way.
mean, I think then this absolutely you should be getting paid, and absolutely you're worth your time is worth your effort, your craft, all that stuff. But ultimately, I right now I'm in the middle of I auditioned and I'm going for a chemistry read, and they're kind of like, we don't have a lot of money, so they're kind of like excusing themselves already, and it's like this character is so freaking awesome. I just want to live it. I want to express
Yeah.
it. I want to be it. And it's like, if I can afford to make the exception, then put the money somewhere else and make this an even better movie. If you really, really wanted me, because that's what I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go 11 days on set and break my back and not pay my bills. That's dumb.
Right.
But if you can give a little bit to somebody that's trying to do something amazing, and you can afford to give it, then give it.
Yep.
I think.
We're all there at some point.
Absolutely.
We're all there at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Somebody took a chance at some time.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
I agree.
But
Right.
but ultimately, I still do say respect people's time, respect people's talent, and pay people. And maybe not on your first film. Maybe you can't do it then. Maybe not on your second. On your third film, maybe you have guest money. On
But
your,
for aspiring
you know what I mean?
filmmakers, again, what we keep saying, prepare properly. If you're going
Yes.
to ask for that favor, have your schedules down. Make sure
Yeah,
you're cutting
be
their
on
time. Make it as
Yeah.
easy as
Have your
possible for these
crew.
people.
Yeah.
Accommodate,
Yeah.
as much as you can,
Yes.
and then move
Yeah.
on. But you
Yeah.
gotta, if you don't have the money, you need the extra preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
And not only that, but don't get comfortable being lazy and not getting a budget either.
Yeah.
Right.
You can ask for favors once or twice, but at some point,
Right.
we expect that you also grow and deliver on your end. So go get a budget. Like, go be a professional. So write a business plan, go out and talk to people, have executive summaries, and get your budget together. I mean, that's ultimately what we have to do. Otherwise, none of us grow.
Yeah. Or partner with somebody that can do that.
Yes,
That's the other
yes.
thing.
Yeah, and that's actually a great point, because everybody thinks building a budget is not that hard. Good luck. Go try it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the hardest part of making a film, and the crazy thing is everybody thinks it gets easier, but it doesn't get easier, because when you're on the other side of this, you want a bigger budget. So you go from 50 to 100 to 250,000, and then suddenly you're saying, I want to get into because the jump after ULB have to be a pretty significant jump, because otherwise all that money goes to things that you could have just made a ULB and not have to pay everybody an arm and a leg. So it's really important to structure it right, but you're always trying to grow. So even though it may seem like it should be easy to go get a budget because you've done X amount of films, it is easy to maybe repeat the same thing again. But who wants to do that? Who doesn't want to grow?
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
I will say, even the 5-minute short film that she made a couple of years ago, she did a GoFundMe and she paid everyone.
Yeah.
She paid everyone. She bought rights to music, because to me, even if your students are making a film, your kid's making a film, help them, show them how to do it right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's really important. In fact, somebody asked me recently to possibly, she and I host a auditioning for a film workshop, and I was just talking to them, and I said, actually, maybe what would be better is doing 2 workshops. Doing one, how do you prepare before you even get an audition?
Yeah.
And because there's all the legwork that goes on before. And some of the projects I'm working on now as a writer have been going on for close to a year, but that's because some of those with NBW, with Nicole Bowers, that's because she's doing all the producer legwork that happens, so that it can be made properly.
Yeah.
And so it's people ask, well, where can I see you? And what movies can I see you in? Or what movies that you wrote can I see? Oh, can't see any of them yet. You can see Bennett's Song, and you can see Betrayed, and I think you can see a couple short films that are on there, Trapped. And some of them though are for mine, it's all the pre-production, and now some of them are in post. And then for hers, it's all that work that goes on, after and before and after.
Yeah, people like, when is Bennett's Song Holiday going to come out? You guys wrapped a year ago. Yeah, we did. We had Eternal Code, we had Abstruse, we had Enigma, we had premieres, we we were not just editing that film, we were editing something else also. So, these things
Juggling
take
a few
time.
things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And especially if you want it to be right,
Yes.
it generally will take longer. It's definitely not as easy as it looks. I think anybody who's doing this for money or fame, you should just pack it up.
It's not
and
going
move
to
on.
work. Sorry.
Nope. I think the people that do eventually land there never worried about those two things to begin with.
Yeah.
They did it because they loved doing it, and that was the catalyst for them.
Yeah.
I think that's
It'll
what I've
happen.
seen.
It'll it'll happen if you're just doing your best.
Yeah.
Putting in the work.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
You can't just love, watching the movie and going to the premieres you have to love
the grind,
going to the audition and having the anxiousness of waiting to find out.
Yes.
And you have to learn to be disappointed and
yeah,
be okay with that and
Yeah.
love, memorizing all of your lines, which people don't realize it takes a really freaking long time to memorize.
we've actually talked about that, having a show on prepping for roles and prepping for auditions and all that stuff, because a lot of people don't understand how much it takes to especially when you start playing bigger characters. I remember having smaller characters, and I did the same thing. Stage work is great, by the way, to prep a filmmaker or a film actor, even though it's not the same necessarily, but it has like the work ethic of theater is so awesome for a film actor to have, because you learn the whole play and you don't have a choice.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that transitioned really well for her from theater to film, because I remember she played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And I remember going through her lines with her. She was younger, much younger. And I think she had 365 lines or something, we counted. And she had all of her lines memorized within the first 2 weeks. And then I think she felt like, I remember you being like, why don't the other people, why aren't they ready? Why isn't everybody ready?
Right.
But with film, you walk on that set and everybody's got to be ready.
Yeah.
So I think
that's what I liked about it a lot.
I
It's
think
like, oh, wait, you guys have your lines memorized too? Cool, we can do this
Yeah.
whole scene. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, especially when there's table reads and stuff, so that you can get a feel before, so that there's a beginning of chemistry before you hit the set. That to me is perfect.
Yeah, and I really like when we get to do, those reads and everything, because it helps you develop your character a lot more. And
Hearing the other people talk and kind of get a feel for them.
Yeah, and you figure out how you are going to, interact with that character, everything like that,
Yeah.
which is really important. Thinking about your character, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot
And
of
the
films that
background
don't
of it.
do the table read though,
Yeah.
but it's nice when they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think table reads are huge, and we were a little redundant for Bennett's song, I think, but we had so many kids that I was deadly afraid that we were. So we had 2 rehearsals and 2 table reads for that one, and that was a lot of work. But I think it turned out really well. And they say don't work with kids and don't work with animals, and I'm like.
Well, as a writer, I've sat in on a couple of table reads for my films, and I like to hear the dialogue coming out of the actors' mouths too, because sometimes you hear something like, "Oh, I need to tweak that a little bit." That's it's kind of interesting when you hear it.
Does it come out natural for them?
Right.
Has you wrote it?
Right.
Yeah.
Or in this case too, casting. They might cast somebody that wasn't what you imagined, and then they're like, that dialogue really doesn't fit that actor, so now I got to tweak it a little bit.
Right.
So that, as from the writing perspective, the table reads really helped.
I always tell my actors that the script is a guide rail. It's not a handcuff.
Right.
Because I think sometimes you get handcuffed to a script, and there are things that you just can't say and make it right. And you're just frogs coming out of your mouth, and you're like, oh, if I could just say this, which means the exact same thing, So I empower my actors but I do want to hear it first, so that way I kind of know. But I like being empowering, because if you have good actors, they can handle that, and they won't tug the story away and do a 3-minute monologue with it. You know what I mean?
There's a great Facebook page, Screenplayed. And they'll take scenes, split the screen in half, where it's the scene and then the script underneath.
Wow.
And I watched today, it was Leonardo DiCaprio and Nicholson. What was the Martin Scorsese film that they were all in with, like Mark Wahlberg? I'm having a brain fart on the title. Fantastic movie. But the conversation between Nicholson and Leonardo was going on. And Leonardo was like off script, but was still keeping intact the conversation. And it's one of those where it's like, you don't stop it, because him in that natural, the way he's going back and forth, it got the conversation comes flowing. There was a whole thing. I mean, it didn't even list, like, Nicholson went under the table and grabbed a gun and like put it at, like, he dropped it and then picks it up and gets it. And the script, all it said was that, like, Nicholson looks up. So I don't know if he like bumped something and just did all that and he just let the cameras roll, but I think you're right. It's a guide rail. Like, if you're getting through.
I think if you're a director, allow those happy accidents, because there are so many crazy cool things that happen if you just let it. Don't be a control freak completely. Yes, you have to handle the red herring. You have to make sure that it holds together. You have to make sure that the characters don't contradict themselves by taking it places, but allow those things, because they happen all the time, and they'll shock you, because sometimes they're great, and you're like, oh, I wish I wrote this.
I'm going to take credit for that.
But that comes around to what you said about casting being one of the most important things, because if you cast the right actors, you can let them do that. Right? If you don't, you're like.
Sometimes I don't remember if I did that on, but I think one scene I remember saying, all right, I have what I need. Do whatever comes natural. I think I did that I do that every now and then, because I just feel that somebody has something to say and it wasn't in the script. And I just feel that it's bubbling under somewhere, and I'll just be like, all right, I have my takes. Just kind of let go now and just.
And that's the beauty of film. Like, if it's happening, let it go. Worst case scenario, you kind of
I
take
can
another
edit
one.
it. I don't have to use it.
Let's do this again and see what comes out this time. But that is the beauty of film versus theater, is that you can kind of play around and try it again.
Yeah, I always get surprised of talking directing, but I get surprised when you see a director that will skip an insert or skip a shot, and it's like, you can always not use it.
Right.
You can always not use it. But you sure can't go back and get it. You know what I mean? That now you're doing pickups, and that's a nightmare. Now you have to make the clouds be similar to what they were. The lights, where did we put them? And now you have to get the different guy, because the guy that don't do that.
But in Triggered in Florida, they reshot an entire scene, the finale scene. They flew her back down and reshot the whole thing, and it was a several $1,000 scene.
That was terrifying for me too, because that was like the one scene that I was like freaking scared to do. Like, I would stay up at night, like, it's happening tomorrow.
Don't give it away.
I'm not going to, but it was just like,
we can't edit this.
Do that one.
Yeah, this is live.
I have to say, though, they made the right choice. I mean, they might have spent a lot of money to do it over again, but they definitely made the right choice. Yes. But it was very costly to do that, and for her, I think that was the most interesting thing about Triggered, her being an out-of-state actor, was like pickup shots and stuff like that. They just had to plan, like, for them not to happen. You know, like, everything, they had to get it when we were there, and so it was a very long film. I think it was 180. It's a 2-hour film.
Oh wow.
So it was over about 120 pages or more. But they had to have long days and tight schedules, because they're not going to fly both of us back for a pickup shot. You know, so that was interesting, because being so far out of state, that was the only time she's.
We're used to it by now, because that's the same thing. You hire in, name talent. They're not free.
No kidding.
We've actually never done pickup shots. Never done pickup shots.
That's because you plan well.
I try really hard to. I try really hard to. I think the tricky thing is you're talking about a producer who's trying to save money, and a director that wants to get the shot, and a DP who wants to paint the picture, and getting all of them on the same page and moving at the same rate, along with the gaffer and the grips and this and that. Sometimes it's a challenge. I just think you have to be committed to saying it's going to be worth it if we go through it and do it the right way as often as possible. The outcome will be worth it, and I think it's easy for an actor. I think we're willing to not sleep and not this and not that. Like we usually, it's not good for you, but we do it, and I think if everybody had that attitude, I think a lot of films would be even better when they were done, if they weren't staring at the clock all the time.
That's the trick thing when people say, can you get me on set? The amount of hours.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
to do it over and over and over and
but just
over
racing
again.
in your head, even when you're done for the day or whatever, to get your brain to settle down, you're still going. Like, I imagine you wake up and just start writing, because once that idea pops in your head, it's, I got to get this out on paper. And acting, you have a thought of a character, and it just keeps running through.
And there's so many times that I will think about a scene that I did maybe like a week ago or even a couple months ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could have done it. I could have done it differently. I could have said that word with a different expression on my face.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that before.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I think
one more thing to be anxious about.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're in the industry, you have to think really fast on your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be in the moment.
Well, you have to trust your instincts too, because I think if you get caught thinking about what you're looking like, that's a dangerous thing to do, because that has to come naturally and kind of come with it. And you have a face that kind of just does things. So no, you do.
That's not a good thing.
Yes, it is. Well, you can't hide things. You're like, oops, I just said that out loud with my face.
I'm having a great time.
Right? Yeah. No, but yeah, that's but I think that's definitely tricky. I do that all the time. I don't know. I haven't told a lot of people this, but for Bennett Song Holiday, I thought it was going to be so easy to go back and play Cole again, because it was so easy for me the first time. And I think my mistake, I think I tried to go back to Cole, not realizing that Cole's no longer back there. He's also here. Yeah. So I was reading these lines and I hated them. I hate every single rehearsal. I hated them. I thought it was awful.
Wow.
And then I get on set and my family is around me, and we do the scene and I'm like, damn it, that was Cole.
Yeah.
He's here. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. It was really, I had major anxiety before that. I could not say a line and be Cole in prep.
That's crazy.
But when everything was there, I felt like I
clicks.
was trying to be Cole instead of just being Cole, which is an interesting thing. You say that as an actor, and most people are like, I don't know what that means. Yeah.
But can you put me in your movie?
Yeah. Yes. Can I play your basketball team? All right, we have gone way over. Is there
Again?
anything else that you guys are?
It's fine. We do this
dying to
every
say?
week.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
No, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us.
Thank you for coming.
No, definitely. Like I said, I reached out really early because I knew I wanted to have you guys on. You're hopping and popping, and you're doing all kinds of fun stuff, and you're very talented. And it's very cool to be a part of seeing where you're going to go. I think there's so much talent in Michigan, and because the shortage and because they pulled the incentives. Well, I don't know if the pulling of the incentives was so bad, really. I think we developed an indie film community that's strong because of it, and that didn't really exist before, because they came in and they hired our DPs as second ACs, and they hired our gaffers as grips. So they didn't really do us any favors by coming, and the vacuum of them left a bunch of talented people who wanted to do more, and I think we built it up. I think it would be nice for them to come back now.
Yes.
Now that we have a strong presence, we know what we're doing. We have talented people all the way around. That would be cool to see what could have happened, and maybe structure them a little bit more for indie filmmakers, because I think this is such a growing thing right now, even though it's scary when you're looking at the platform media, because Amazon is kind of taking a step back from indie films, and they're really becoming, about the blockbusters and the studio films as well. So there's not a whole lot of homes unless you want to be on, channels that barely pay the filmmakers.
Yeah.
So
Or you just find the next thing. I feel like the streaming industry is just going to open. There's that QB coming out. That's those shorts. That I feel like people there's going to be that new streaming service that will be built. And
I've watched a couple of things on Indie Stream lately that people have put up there. I've seen some conversation on some Facebook pages about some more indie streaming.
There's quite
sites.
a few of those out right now. One of them will grow to be the next thing, but there's so many. I know Indie Stream is one of them, and that's because it's local to us.
Right.
But there's a ton of indie streams.
Yeah.
Out there. So the trick is who's going to survive, because at the end of the day, they have to pay the people.
Exactly.
Otherwise, nothing works. So and they can't get. It's the catch-22.
Yeah.
You got to have the money to pay the filmmakers, and you got to have the filmmakers to get the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like how do you win? You got to start with money.
Yeah.
That's the only way to that if it works.
People don't want to talk about money, but
Oh no, you have to.
you have to.
Yeah, I mean it costs money to make the movie,
Yeah.
so and the people don't understand this. If you don't get the money back, ultimately, at some point your investors are going to say, "I can't put any money in.
Yeah.
You already have it in that movie."
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
at some point you have to say, I need that to start coming back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the trick right now is how do you do that? I've seen some really disturbing numbers on indie film about how many films actually make their money back, and it's not fun to see that because you're looking at a lot of people that are trying to emerge, and it's not odds aren't in your favor. And that's also why I think it's so crucial that you do these things right, so that you get these pieces in place. I had a conversation talking to some filmmakers that want to grow and expand, and I said there used to be a thing online where you could go online and you could look up like Hollywood names, and it would say pretty much how many pay-per-view clicks about you would get by hiring one of them to play a sizable role in your film. Which was great, and I can't find it anymore. But that's where we originally went to try to find people because they were on there. People doing indie films that are like worth your investment, and people that you know, because a lot of people look at the star meter as the only thing, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Star meter is highly sensitive
Yeah.
to things, and you can look like a superstar one week and then just fall crumbling into the hundreds of thousands the next.
Hers was like 35,000 one week, and then the next Monday it was like 87. And you're like, what happened this week? Like, what was going on this week?
That
you know?
algorithm is really
due.
weird.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It's very, very strange. So you
Grandma,
can't go
you weren't
too much
clicking
by
this
that.
week. No, I'm kidding.
I've heard too. A lot of people are questioning when they first sign up, like do they do the IMDb Pro, that their star meter is huge, and then after that trial, it like drops. So people are starting to question, like, are you doing that just to get people in the pay? Because they do like a 30
But it's not.
day.
It's because a lot of people will go, like when you're first starting out, everybody in your circle is excited. They're going to go check it out. They're going to go check on all your films, and that's going to drive all that traffic. And after that, they get less and less and less interested.
Yeah.
It's just like with anyone, they go to less and less of your games or whatever. It's the same thing.
Nobody goes to your premieres anymore.
No, but I can tell you, I know people who had the first premiere drew 100 people.
Exactly.
And then the second premiere, they had 50, and then it was 20.
Yeah.
And then it's like 7 people, and now it's 5.
Yeah.
And it's just how it works because they've been to so many premieres that they're like, I've done it now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Let's keep making awesome movies.
Yes, yeah. But even that's they don't know the difference, and it's one of them things that I think is important too. Is if you have artistic friends, support their art, whether they're painting or they're acting or whatever they're doing, because I think it's so easy to sit there and support the multimillionaires, and hand them all the money back and keep that machinery rolling, while we're all trying to fight to get a piece of that.
The Marvel monopoly.
I mean, well,
exactly.
it's absolutely. I will say though, we've been talking a lot about this Disney thing. They got to get more content on there.
After
Yeah.
Mandalorian ended, I've been kind of bored with it. But
Yeah.
Clone Wars is the 21st, and I'm super excited. to watch Clone Wars.
Yeah, they definitely they need to get, because
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I know they failed the streaming thing 2 or 3 times before.
Yeah.
Steven was telling us, and in my opinion, if they don't speed this thing up, if they don't get content from elsewhere,
I
that
can only watch Willow and the Black Hole so many times.
right, yeah.
I've gone on there a couple times and clicked through and gone, I'm not going to watch
Yep.
anything.
I mean,
yeah.
I remember when we first started, we ended up on Disney more than Netflix. Right now, we're back to Netflix, watching
Their
that
content.
way more.
Yeah, their content.
By the way, if you haven't watched Messiah,
Oh, don't get her started.
okay, yeah, Will Travell, who's actually like somebody that as an actor I've tried to bring into a few of my films. I love the guy, really, really talented, and he's in that. That's a really, really good series.
Amazing.
I got tied up in Peaky Blinders right now.
Oh.
So every few minutes I start watching
Yeah.
that.
That's funny.
I watched the last episode of Messiah that's up, and I was like, no.
Yes. And how long am I going to have to wait? Yeah, because that's a lot of production value there too.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
So that's going to be a full year turnaround to get another season, which sucks.
I know.
I do have to say I like Disney going to the one a week format. Because I feel like that with Netflix that you run through it so fast that that wait between is so much longer. But I've said it before, you don't grow with the characters on Netflix. You watch it over a 3-day span, and then you're done with them. You don't spend years or watching these things live. Like I like how Disney is. It's one a week, and then now you gotta wait till the next season, and you're gonna age with them. You're gonna grow and spend that time. But there is something to Netflix, like the quick turn and burn.
Yeah. I think Netflix is starting to have some series though that they're releasing once a week.
Oh, are they?
So
I'm
excited for that.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
You agree with that format?
I binge watch.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
I don't. I have maybe 2 episodes of a series in me in one day. I can't do more than that.
No,
But-
we do marathons.
It depends on the show. Like Ozark, I
I
might
love
as well call
Ozark.
in sick.
Yeah. I'm out. Don't do anything for 3 days.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with books, though. I'm a binger, just books and movies.
I'm very
just-
off and on with books. If I read, I read like crazy, and then I'll take a break and I won't read like anything.
Yeah.
It's really odd.
Binge. You binge
Yes,
it, and then
that's true. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
awesome.
God.
So thank you so much for
Yeah.
making the hike out here
Thank
to Lake
you.
Orion.
No
Yeah.
problem.
It's a lovely place.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
I like it.
Yeah. It's your home away from home. A
It
little
is
too
not-
far
yeah.
away
Yeah.
though.
It's I might have to start looking at some property.
Airbnbs in the area.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
All right. I think we'll wrap together and just
Yes.
say thanks for coming
Yeah,
out. And that
thanks
was a
for
great show. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great show.
Thank you everyone
Thank
for
you.
watching.
Yay.
And go audition for
Project Horror. I'll be getting the character bios out soon. It's a little horror film I'm gonna be working on. I'm super excited for.
and it's
And
a
then also-
setup for
It is
much,
a setup
much
for a much
more.
bigger picture.
So,
if I can-
investors
yes,
should be talking to him about what's coming after.
I will capture
Right.
you with this short and then get you to want to make the big one. So
Love it.
That's the goal. And
I'll
also
make
check
this
out
one.
Attack on Show.
Yes.
Check that out.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks
you.
everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
guys.
Thank you.